Hi, my name is Brian Adcock. I'm the race director and founder of Castle Race Series. Thank you for listening to this video. You should be listening to it if you're doing an aqua bike, either the long or the middle distance, on Sunday the 4th of July at Hever Castle and our event, which is called the Festival of Endurance. So you've hopefully watched the other video, which detailed exactly what's going to happen when you arrive in the car park to the point that you get to the start of your race, and then takes up the narrative from the point that you finish and to the point that you leave the car park. This particular video is exclusively about your race and what will happen and what you'll see on your race. So without further ado, I'm just going to share my screen and start you off with a look at the swim map, which is here. So you guys will, depending on which course you've signed up for, be doing either 1 or 2 laps of my 1.9 kilometer circuit. Aquabike Long does 2 laps and Aquabike Middle does 1 lap. And the other video had you being briefed on the right hand side of the loggia and then just about ready to cross the start line, which is over here on the left hand side of the loggia. Once you cross the mat, you'll descend onto a wooden ramp and then you can jump into the water and get swimming. You pass 4 buoys on your way up the lake. You can swim either side of these at 100, 200, 300, and 400. And then you'll come to a 3-buoy gate, which you can see stacked on top of each other. And you swim initially through the right-hand side of the gate with the middle buoy on your left shoulder. You'll then be sent half right out to the 600 buoy, keep that left shoulder, and then due north to the 700 meter buoy, left shoulder, and then back into the middle 3 buoys that form the gate, but this time passing through the top end of the gate, keeping the middle buoy on your left shoulder and the top buoy on your right shoulder. You're at 800 meters at that point. You then got another 100 meters till you get to the back of the Japanese tea house, which is literally just that. There's a physical building on this peninsula here, which is a Japanese tea house, and you'll turn right between 2 buoys, which will put you into the deep channel and take you into the river section. This has been dredged, so don't try and cut the corner because you will run aground on the lilies. Here you'll pass underneath 1 bridge, and that's a great viewing point if you've brought any spectators with you. And then from there, you're in the river section for the next 600 meters or so, passing a number of buoys on your way till you get to the 2nd bridge at 1700 meters. Again, good viewing point. That's just to the west of the water maze. And from there, you'll head back into the main river section. And then depending on whether you're doing 1 or 2 laps, you'll either, if you're doing just 1 lap, swim past the ramp that you jumped off at the start of your race and continue past the front of the loggia and then exit via a concrete boat ramp over here. Or if you're doing a 2nd lap, you'll swim through a couple of buoys that are down here where this green line is. And that is effectively a gate before you head out onto the course for your 2nd lap. 2nd lap exactly the same as the 1st lap, except when you get round to this point here, you then follow what the 1st lappers did, swim across the front of the loggia and exit the water by the concrete ramp. Easy peasy. Simon, who is normally there to pull you out of the water, will only be there providing advice this year because he's not allowed to touch you unless you're in dire straits, and then he will leap into action. Please keep him smiling if you can as you go past. And water safety out in the water. If you've got any problems at all, please just roll over onto your back and put your hand up in the air, and one of my canoeists spear along to make sure that you are okay. So that is the swim, and then you guys are out onto the bike route, and I'll just put that on full screen. So this is the Hever estate up here. There is the lake that you swam in, and you will exit from transition down the back drive and pop out to the public road at Marshall Point 1. Just be careful on that back drive because there are a couple of sleeping policemen that will pull you off your bike if you're not ready for them, and it's quite narrow, and there may be 1 or 2 cars going down there from the residents who live on the site at Hever. So when you get out onto the public road opposite the Henry VIII and adjacent to the main entrance of Hever Castle, church on your left-hand side, just a reminder that this race is a non-drafting race, which means that you cannot sit on the back of somebody else's wheel and get an aerodynamic pull around the course. You must remain 12 meters at all times from the person in front of you. If you are doing an overtaking maneuver, you've got 25 seconds to complete it. and you must try and maintain a minimum social distance of 2 meters as you go past the rider in front of you. If you don't do this, then you will be penalised, and the motos will take note of your name and then add 5 minutes onto your time at the end of the race. So please don't be tempted to draft around this course, because we don't have a license to draft, and it can be very dangerous. So the actual route itself, you come out of the castle grounds and turn immediately left. That does a sharp right-hand turn around the Henry VIII pub before descending to the first junction. I should just say that those of you that are doing the Aquabike long will be doing 2 laps of the 60k circuit, and those of you that are doing the Aquabike middle will just do 1 lap of the 60k, and the 60k is marked by the purple line on this map. So you've descended to 2. That is the first of the traffic managed junctions. By traffic management, I mean a company has been paid to come along and hold stop go boards for you, so they can actually lawfully hold traffic. So listen out for what they've got to say. If they're asking you to slow down or even stop, it's because they've had to hold traffic for an extended period of time, and they're not allowed to do so. So keep your wits about you at those particular junctions where you see the stop go boards. Then between 2 and 3, you climb uphill to my favourite pub in the local area, which is called the Kentish Horse in Mark Beach. And there you'll turn right at a traffic managed junction before heading out to another pub called the Queen's Arms, which is on the Hartfield Road. You'll then follow the Hartfield Road south for about 3 or 4 miles before you get into the village of Hartfield, which is just here. There is a traffic managed junction as you cross the A264, and it's traffic managed as you take the right-hand turn into Hartfield. Couple of traffic calming measures in the village itself. The first one that you come to, you have to give way at. The second one, you've got right of way. When you get to Marshall Point 8, you're exiting the village and you're turning left steeply uphill. This is called Jibjacks Hill, and that takes you up to the top of the Ashdown Forest. When you get to the very top of the Ashdown Forest, this is near what I call the ice cream van car park, because there is an ever-present ice cream van there throughout all weathers and all times of the year. But you will pass the marshal at this point, and because of the helmet stripe colour that you've got on, he will allow you to go straight on. Now, by the time you get out there, if you're second and third, or your second lap, those of you that are doing Aquabike long, you may find that you're mixed in with guys doing either the gauntlet and the duathlon, and they turn left at that point there. So keep your wits about you. Make sure that for your second lap, you don't get caught up by following somebody left at that point there. You guys descend on down into the village of Maresfield, which is down here. You briefly jump onto the A21, you turn left at a couple of roundabouts and do a big circle before coming back on yourself and then climbing back up the hill to the top of the Ashdown Forest and the ice cream van car park. Thereupon you will be turned right, and a couple of 100 meters later, at around about the 37k mark on your first lap, you'll pass the first feed station. Feed stations for you guys are laid out in the following way. About 100 meters prior to the feed station, you'll see a builder's sack. That is for your empty or half empty bottles to be thrown into, because this is a bottle exchange. We'll have prepared for you on the first table either bottles of High Five or bottles of water. They're in 750ml standard water bottles, and you'll be able to take one of those off one of the marshals. Next table, the marshal will be holding bars. Next table, the marshal will be holding High Five gels. And then the table over that, the marshal will be holding half bananas cut in half. And then another 100 meters on beyond that, you have another builder sack for your rubbish, if you've got any, to try and launch it in there as you go past. Don't worry too much if you miss, just try and get it in the vicinity of the bag. Goes without saying that feed stations are dangerous places. Lots of people wobbling around, going slowly, not fully necessarily in control of their bikes or themselves, and we have seen 1 or 2 spectacular crashes take place when people haven't quite got it right. So make sure you've got a strategy. You definitely won't be able to get all 4 items in one pass, but you are going to pass the feed stations twice each, so you've got 4 opportunities to pick up the different items. So that's the feed station. You then head downhill off the Ashdown Forest and into the village of Groombridge. There's a traffic managed right-hand turn just outside the village, just about here. You then climb up Greenbridge Hill, you come back onto the A264 again, left at the farm shop, along the 264 for approximately 100 metres before turning right, and that takes you on a B road, down through the village of Fordcombe, down to the River Medway, and then back up the other side and into the village of Penshurst, where you turn left just past the village hall and climb uphill before turning left at this marshal, down over a railway bridge through a small hamlet called Morden before getting on the return road that takes you back to Hever Castle. One final thing on your route, and that is as you come to this point on the route, just outside the village of Bow Beach, there's a low railway bridge that you have to pass underneath. You're coming downhill quite quickly and then turning sharp left. Cars coming in the opposite direction are also turning left, but moving into the middle of the road because it's a narrow bridge and they're not sure how tall their cars are. We have had more than one occasion where there's been a near miss underneath that bridge. So please just keep your wits about you. There will be two marshals, one on either side of the bridge, both carrying red flags to warn both the traffic and you that that's a dangerous little bit on the course. From there, as you pass the My Local, the Wheatsheaf pub, you'll take the left-hand fork and that will take you back towards Hever and the completion of your first lap. Just before you complete your first lap, you'll come to the second feed station, which is just after you've crossed over the bridge, which is over the River Eden, and then just beyond the lower entry gates that goes to the B&B of Hever Castle, you'll come to the second feed station, which is laid out in exactly the same way as the first feed station. You'll then climb up a hill for about 200 metres, and then you're back at the point opposite the Henry VIII where you came out to the cycle course a few minutes or an hour or so earlier. And those of you that are doing a second lap, the Aquabike longs, you'll go around again, do exactly the same as you did before, all the way down to Maresfield and all the way back again, following the purple route on this map. And those of you who are just completing one lap, the Aquabike middles, you'll then come back in through the entry gate that's adjacent to the main entrance and the church opposite the Henry VIII pub and return down the back drive before coming back to transition. So I'll just jump off that map for a second and just show you in a little bit more detail. So that's where you swam, that's where you came out of the water. Swimming is in this top left-hand corner. Bike out and run out are in this bottom right-hand corner of transition. Bike out takes you down the back drive of Hever, and then when you've either completed your first or your second lap, that's the point that you come back in again, and you come back in down here, and then bike in is actually in next to the swimming point of transition in this top left-hand corner over here. And that's where your time will stop for your aquabike, regardless of whether you've done the middle or the long distance. Now, some of you may choose at that point just to end your race, and that's absolutely fine. Others of you may want to go out and just give your legs a little bit of a spin. And so we've designed the 4K course for you, which allows you to come out of transition via run out. You then come out to Marshall Point 1, which is here, and then you'll be sent up what's called Shite Lane to the top of Park Wood, going past another feed station laid out in exactly the same way as the cycle stations, other than you've got cups instead of bottles. So you can help yourself there before turning left and heading downhill and round the lake itself, over 16 Acre Island, round the back of the castle, and then back in towards the finish line, which is just adjacent to transition just here. And that is your route complete. Aquabikers, you can have a low-key ceremony in transition itself, and we'll have a table of medals where you can go and grab a medal, or if you want to have a bit more pizzazz and a few more people cheering you across our finish line, then put your trainers on when you get back to where your bike's racked and walk to the start of the finish chute, and then you can run across the finish line and grab your medal and all the goodies that we've got on the finish line at the same time. So hopefully that's clear. If you've got any questions at all about this, then please either email us on support@castleraceseries.com or give the office a ring and we'll help you as best we can. Otherwise, stay safe over the next few days, and we look forward to seeing you bright and early on Sunday the 4th of July. Thank you for listening.